Now that we've been given a better understanding of the grief process, let's take a moment to confront from a faith perspective the greatest of all mysteries. What lies beyond the door of death? No matter what faith tradition you belong to, there's a teaching that in some way or another acknowledges enduring life after death. No longer is this acknowledgement something that exists only within the realm of faith teaching, but it's a very real and studied phenomenon that's further supported by advances in medical technology. Researchers estimate that nearly 13 million Americans have reported what has been referred to as a near-death experience. Though clinically dead, many of these people have described consistent accounts of consciously floating above their body, observing and later accurately recounting resuscitation techniques used by the medical staff. They also experienced an indescribable peace. They report entering a dark tunnel and traveling at an incredibly high speed towards a brilliant and spectacular light. The light is a presence radiating such love and understanding and peace that most who encountered the light didn't want to return from such a state of pure joy and happiness. In fact, this is supported by another phenomenon that's common during the grief state, but is not often discussed. It is the real experience of feeling our loved one's presence around us, even after death. Such experiences, whether they happen when we're fully conscious and awake or in a dream, are a common experience shared by many who grieve. What follows are among the most dramatic and true accounts ever recorded from the bereaved, whose experiences attest to an existence of a very real life that continues beyond this one.
And I dreamed that we had just been in Thailand, and we had dined at these low tables, and I turned to the side, and there at a screen at a door stood Marianne in my favorite red dress with her hair cut to her right here, which I always loved on her. It was my favorite hairdo, and she's smiling. And I ran over the door and I opened the door and we hugged. And I said, "Oh, honey, it's so good to see you." And she looked at me with that big smile. And I woke up, and when I woke up, I could feel the warmth in my arms.
Lawrence and I, feeling my son's presence, we went out to the cemetery. And Ryan had a special song that he liked. And he had taken his friend out to the cemetery. When they left, he turned on the radio as they left the cemetery, and the song came on. And we left the cemetery, it finished. This 4th of July, Lawrence and I were out at the cemetery. We left the cemetery, the same song came on exactly at the same spot and ended when we left.
I'll never forget one night, I went for a jog and I ran under this one street light and the light turned off right as I stepped underneath it. And I kept running and I ran down another 1.5 miles or so. And I came back and I noticed the street light was still off. And I said, "Hey Ryan, if that was really you, turn that on right when I get underneath." And no kidding, I walked and I took one step even with the light and it shined brighter than all the other lights.
My father was a big band musician, okay? I lost him 30 years ago, but I didn't lose him. He's still a part of my life. Now, it's strange because he wasn't the most prominent of big band musicians, but somehow or other, at significant moments of my life, somewhere, somehow, on the radio, on Muzak in a place I'm walking into, all of a sudden his music shows up. Everyone who has been a part of my life then is a part of my life now. As simple as that. I mean, to me, experientially, I have special moments, and they're the moments of interaction. Do I explain it? No. I just experience. You know, how do you explain listening to Beethoven's Ninth? You don't. You just experience it.
My brother died now 11 years ago, and I remember having one dream where I know Mark was there. I know Mark was there.
My grandson called me up, and he was extremely close to my husband. He was his best friend. He called me, he says, Grandma, we have to go to the cemetery today. And I said, why, honey? He says, because Grandpa came last night in my room. He said, and he's telling me that come and see him. And he saw this light, he said, and at the end of his bed, he saw this image of him.
I was dreaming. And I was dreaming, and I was saying to someone in my dream, if only I had Charlene, I want to say goodbye to Charlene. I want to hold her in my arms. If I could just say goodbye to her again. And the answer in the dream was, you did say goodbye to her when you held her in your arms and told her you loved her. With that, I woke up. I'm in a pitch black room. We have dark drapes. The doors in the bedroom are closed. There's no light in there. I look over, and on her side of the bed, there's a circle of light. There's no beam of light. It's just a circle of light at the foot of the bed. All of a sudden, this whole sense of peace just flowed over me.
What's happening now is that the barriers are gone. That now the intensity of the relationship and the intensity of the love can be even more intimate and more all-consuming, because now the person knows the truth and they're free from any of the physical things that would hold them back. And now the love and care is there. But that doesn't mean also that the physical is totally isolated from this, and it can have physical ramifications. There might be a shot of a sun that would shine, or there might be the presence of a rose on a pillow or a petal. There might be a song that's played on the radio at a certain time. Whatever it is, and we'd say, oh, well, it was just a coincidence. And I'm believing if God is in control and God is in everywhere, and these spirits of those that we love are alive and free, and they're still desiring to touch us and still desiring to allow that presence to be there, why not? Why not? And so I think we need to pay respect to that yearning and that calling to the reality of a life after death, and a communication with those who have died with us in a very beautiful and rich way.
There's just such a strong connection between, if you've ever been at a birth of a baby and then at a death of a human being, they're so closely intertwined.
I believe very, very strongly in life after death. I believe that God has made us, has given us this beautiful gift of life, and that really there's only one task that you have. At the end of life, I want to be able to say, who did I love and who loved me?
When you and I die, and we have loved ones who have gone on before us, those loved ones are with God in a reality that we don't understand. And I believe that we too will become part of that reality.
It's almost unimaginable to say, well, God is going to kind of drop the ball and forget about the people that I love. He loves them much more than I do. And in that confidence, I know that we're going to be together forever.
I think we're going to see our loved ones after we die. I'm absolutely certain of it. Not too long ago, I had a very interesting experience talking to a friend who had never read any of the literature about life after death. And she shared with me the death of her husband. And as he was dying, he started calling her a pet name that he hadn't used since she was very, very young. And so she spoke to him. They were Czechoslovakian. She spoke to him in Czech. And he stopped her and he said, no, I'm not speaking to you. My mother is waiting for me. And I need to go now. I need to go and meet her. I can see her. And he closed his eyes and died. And I was just astounded. For me, it was just such a validation of what I've always believed. This life is prelude. This life, as most of us know, as we age, goes very, very quickly. And eternity is forever. And I believe very, very strongly that we are given this time to learn to love.
We have our belief in faith that yes, indeed, there is that life hereafter. There is no closure because it's not the end, it's the beginning. And it's the beginning of all time, of all happiness.